Hello everyone, myself Garima. This session is for BSc 4th year and the topic is guidance and counseling. We are social beings and so in some way or other we need help and guidance of others. Mother, father, grandparents and teachers and other elders, home, school and society guide youngsters for successful living. Due to explosion of knowledge, industrialization and changes in socio-economic setup, the need of professional guidance is left in the present day society. Guidance. The meaning of guidance is an act of showing someone or something how to do something. Counseling. Counseling involves talking with a person in a way that helps that person solve a problem or helps to create conditions that will cause the person to understand and or improve his behavior, character, values or life circumstances. Definition of guidance. Hamreen and Erickson define guidance as that aspect of educational program which is concerned especially with helping the people to become adjusted to his present situation and to plan his future in line with his interests, abilities and social needs. Characteristics of guidance. First is it is a process. As a process, it helps every individual to help himself to recognize and use his inner resources to set goals, to make plans, and to work out his own problems of development. Second is it is a continuous process. In this, it is a needed right from early childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and even in the old age. Third is choice and problem points are the distinctive concerns of guidance. Guidance operates in the zones in which the individual's own unique world of perceptions it interacts with the external order of events in his life context. Fourth one is it is a assistance to the individual in the process of development rather than a direction of the depth of that development. In this, the aim of guidance is to develop the capacity for self direction, self guidance, and self improvement through an increased understanding of one's problems, resources available to solve the problems, and limitations to solve the problem. Fifth is guidance is a service meant for all. In this, guidance is a regular service which is required at every stage for every student, not only for awkward situations and abnormal students. It is a positive program geared to meet the needs of all the students. Sixth is guidance is both generalized and a specialized service. Guidance is a generalized service because everyone, teachers, parents, advisors, play a part in the program. It is a specialized service because especially qualified personnel such as counselors, psychiatrists, and psychologists render their services needed to help the individual to get out of his problem. Next is guidance is an organized service and not an incidental activity of the school. Guidance makes use of the entire facilities available in the school to achieve its objectives and if needed brings about changes in the guidance program in order to meet new demands or challenges. Eighth is guidance is not a branch of any discipline. Then ninth is guidance has limits. Guidance has limits to what it can accomplish. Tenth is guidance is more than art and science. In this, guidance should always utilize the tested results. Guidance practice most often makes decisions on the basis of best judgment in the absence of complete scientific verification. Last one is guidance has its roots in the education system. Guidance program followed in a particular country must be based on the broad educational objectives of that country. Definition of counseling. According to Vedanyagam, counseling is an accepting, trusting, and safe relationship in which client learns to discuss freely what upsets them, to define their goals, to acquire the essential social skills, and to develop the courage and self confidence to implement desired new behavior. Characteristics of counseling. First one is counseling involves two individuals, one seeking help and the other a professionally trained person who can help the first. Second is there should be a relationship of mutual respect between the two individuals. Third is the counselor discovers the problems of the counselor and helps him to set up realistic goals and guide him through difficulties and problems. Fourth one is if the counselor is the student, counseling helps him to take a decision, make a choice, or find a direction in matters related to an educational program or career. Fifth is counseling helps the counselor acquire independence and develop a sense of responsibility. Sixth one is counseling is more than advice giving. Seventh is counseling is a body of techniques that helps individuals to grow up normally. Now, the principles of guidance and counseling. First is guidance and counseling is unique to an individual. In this, one of the most important contribution of psychology is the individual difference concept. Individuals differ in abilities, interests, aptitudes, and attitudes. Therefore, each individual is a unique one. Second is guidance and counseling is concerned with the total individual. In this, it is the most important to take into account the all round development of an individual rather than only a segment of his personality development. This means that any situation or problem of a person must always be looked at with a total perspective, and dealing with the same must lead towards a total personality growth, that is physical, mental, social, emotional, etc. Third one is guidance is always goal oriented and goal directed. In this, guidance becomes useless if it is not goal directed. Goal setting is an important. Different types of problems in an individual arise in view of the non realization of the goals. One of the reasons for this may be that goals are unrealistic. Setting realistic goals and working towards the same in one of the basic requirements of a student. Any problem of a student must always be studied in the context of his goals. Next is guidance is a professional activity. Guidance and counseling should not be carried out by anybody but should be taken up by professionally trained persons. Next is guidance and counseling is meant for all those who need help. In this, it is a well known that guidance and counseling is required by every individual at all stages of his development, irrespective of the age, caste, sex, occupation, status, etc. It should be given to all those who need assistance. Next is guidance and counseling is not specific to any state of development. Guidance and counseling is not specific to any stage of development of a student. It is needed at all the stages of one's life. In educational institutions, guidance and counseling lays great stress on those areas which affect a student's physical and mental health and his adjustment at home and institution. Vocational and social demands and relationships, or the extent to which his physical and mental health are affected by the conditions to which he is subjected to in these areas of experience. Last is guidance and counseling is a continuous process. Guidance and counseling cannot be restricted to a problem solving situations only. These services are not just problem oriented. Next is need for guidance and counseling. First is unstatic and complex nature of society. In this, rapid urbanization and industrialization changes have taken place in entire structure of our economic, social and political system. It has become very complex. It is very difficult for an individual to achieve desirable result without the aid of guidance and counseling. Next is every individual is different. In this, no two human beings have ever been found to be alike. They are differ in weight, height, color of skin, and texture. Because color, sorry, color of skin and texture, social, spiritual, and emotional characteristics, the ability, interest, achievement, personality traits, and attitude of every individual is different. The requirements of various occupation is also differ. These make increasingly necessary to have a definite provision for certain forms of guidance. Next is welfare of individual and society. To provide better scope for the individual to improve and express himself or a person have flourished through guidance services, the individual is aided in self development and self realization, and a wide rise of human resources is made. Next is change industrial and educational pattern of the country. The problems of selection of subjects and vocations are formidable problem, and in the absence of the guidance service, the education and industrial system will not progress satisfactorily. Next is conservation of human energy. In this, well planned guidance is required to conserve the human energy. Improvement of vocational efficiency are the aim of education. Through educational guidance, train their various aptitudes and enable them to take up vocational pursuits. Next is academic growth, development of abilities and skills consistent with varying capacities of the individual and removal of subject matter difficulties. Next is vocational maturity, in this development of technical skills and right attitude towards work. Next is personal and social development, in this self understanding and proper adjustment to self and society. Guidance is also required for better family life, right attitude towards home and understanding of relations of fundamental emotions, understanding of social values, needs, problems, issues together, developing social attitudes and habits. Next is types of guidance. First one is educational guidance. Educational guidance refers to the guidance to students in all aspects of education. The emphasis is on providing assistance to students to perform satisfactorily in their academic work, choose the appropriate courses of study, overcome learning difficulties, foster creativity, improve levels of motivation, utilize institutional resources optimally, such as library, laboratory, workshop, etc. Second is vocational guidance. Vocational guidance is the assistance provided for selection of a vocation and preparation for the same. It is concerned with enabling students to acquire information about career opportunities, career growth, and training facilities. Third one is personal guidance. Personal guidance refers to the guidance to students to enable them to adjust themselves to their environment so that they become efficient citizens. Adolescents' behavior to a great extent depends upon the moods and attitudes of the adolescents. Emotional instability is a characteristic of adolescents, and this is often the cause of many of their personal problems. Fourth one is social guidance. Social guidance is the guidance to students to enable them to make substantial contributions to the society, assume leadership, conform to the social norms, work as a team members, develop healthy and positive attitudes, appreciate the problems of society, respect the opinions and sentiments of fellow beings. Friendship. Its main purpose is to enable the students to become an efficient citizen. Fifth one is avocational guidance. Avocational guidance is assistance to be provided to students to spend their available leisure time profitably. Activities and programs outside the formal classrooms provide many opportunities for the blossoming of talents of students. They may use their leisure time in many activities such as games, photography, drama, fine arts, which have recreational value also. Students must enjoy life around them, through which all round development is possible. Last is health guidance. Health guidance implies the assistance rendered to students for maintaining sound health. This type of guidance focuses on enabling students to appreciate conditions for good health and take steps necessary for ensuring good health, maintaining sound physical and mental health. Next is types of counseling. First one is short term counseling. This type of service is used in situational crisis in which disruption of life occurs. It mainly focuses on concern of the client or family. Counselor will assist the client and guide him in a problem solving in a systematic way or decision making in logical manner. Second is long term counseling. Long term counseling varies from daily, weekly or monthly basis, extend over a prolonged period of time. It is focused for the client who experiences developmental crisis. Third one is student counseling. Student counseling are not considered to be a mentally ill but capable of choosing goals, making decisions, and generally assuming responsibility for their own behavior and future. Student counseling is mainly concerned with helping the students to solve this problem pertaining to the choice of educational institution, course, method of study, and adjustment. Then fourth one is a placement counseling. In placement counseling, counselors will advise to the counselor in regard to job and post which is suitable to the client, depend upon his abilities, attitude and interest. Next is psychotherapeutic counseling. In psychotherapeutic counseling, psychological trained individual consciously attempt verbally to assess the person deliberately to modify his or her maladaptive behavior. There are various methods of psychotherapy like example behavior counseling, transaction analysis, gestalt therapy and psychoanalytic therapy. Next is marriage counseling. This counseling is directed for improving a disturbed marital relationship. It is centered efforts to change the psychodynamics and behavior of the partner. Two partners meet the therapist in joint session. Marital counseling may be conducted on a problem solving level. It focuses on the need for each partner to understand the point of view and feeling of the other. Next is vocational counseling. If any problems arises within the specific vocation, necessary step or advice will be carried out to solve those problems. Counselor will help the client to improve his all around personality development and help the individual to develop skill, efficiency and mastery over the vocation so that counselor will be best among his employee. Eighth is individual counseling. Individual counseling is a process of mutual interchange of opinion to get information and to give information. Counselor will try to establish rapport and structuring has to be done so that the client understand what to be expect at counseling. Ninth is motivational counseling. Motivational counseling involves discussing feeling and incentives with the client. The counselor can encourage to establish a helping relationship to avoid despair feelings and work through the feeling of their motivation. 10th one is health counseling. Health counseling helping the individual to learn more about health and healthy habits, helps the person become more aware of the role of exercise, nutrition and healthy habits to maintain health. 11th one is crisis counseling. Crisis counseling helps an individual to overcome the effect of crisis situation such as loss of family member, family conflict, etc. These situations may affect the normal behavior of an individual and she or he may develop a feeling of anxiety or guilt. In this, the counselor helps the individual to understand the situation and develop a new pattern of behavior. 12th is educational counseling. This type of counseling helps the pupils to get maximum benefits out of education and solve their problems related to education. Pupils understand or orient themselves to a new purpose or philosophy of education. It also assists the people to identify the need of educational planning. Students develop the study habits and choose a specialization. Last one is personal counseling. In this, every student faces certain problems about which he may be very anxious. He generally tries to cope up with the problem. The counselor helps the students to understand and solve these problems. The counselor helps the students in providing advice on personal problem. Counselor helps the students to develop interpersonal skills and improve study habit and accept themselves and others. Next is types of counseling approaches. Counseling is a process in which two individuals meets and counselor who assist in analyzing and understanding the problem and the client who has problem and needs assistance in arriving at a solution to the same. The problem of the client may be academic, social, emotional or psychological. It may range from a very simple problem to an extremely complex. To solve the problem, there are several approaches in counseling, but commonly used are first one is directive counseling. In directive counseling, the counselor is the central figure and play more active role. In directive counseling, counselor use a variety of techniques to suggest appropriate solution to a problem of the counseling. The counselor plays a leading role. This approach is also called called an authoritarian or psychoanalytic approach. Here, the counselor is active and directs the individual in making decisions and finding solutions to the problem. Counselor believe in the limited capacity of the client. It emphasizes on cognitive and intellectual aspect of the problem. In this, the client makes the decision, but the counselor does all that he can to get the client make a decision in keeping with his diagnosis. In this, counselor tries to direct the thinking of the client by informing, explaining, interpreting, and advising. The directive counseling follows a well defined process which include collect the relevant data, then analyze the problem, then diagnosis or identification of nature of difficulty, then prognosis, then prescribe remedial measures, and then follow up. Tools used in this approach are advice and warming, praise and reassurance. This type of direct this type of counseling is also known as prescriptive counseling. Next is non-directive counseling. In this approach, counselor's role is passive. It is a counselor-centered or client-centered humanistic approach. Counseling makes the final decision. The counselor has to accept the capacity of the client to make adjustment and adaptation. The principle of acceptance, tolerance are extremely important in this approach. Steps of non-directive counseling approaches: first is establishing rapport, then exploration of the problem, then exploration of the cause of the problem, then find out alternative solution, then termination of the session, and last one is follow up. Next approach is elective counseling approach. Elective counseling approach is based on the fact that all individuals differ from one another. No single approach can therefore be applied to each and every problem. The counselor will make use of both directive and non-directive counseling, which may be considered useful for the purpose of modifying the ideas and attitude of the client. The techniques are elective in nature because they have been derived from all sources of counseling, selecting the best and leaving on what is least required. Since it is a client-centered approach, the counselee play a predominant role. The counselor is not supposed to play authoritarian role. The assumption of this non-directive counseling approach is that every individual is capable of solving his or her own problem. The counselor should assist the counselee in seeing the nature of the problem. The goal is the independence and integration of the client rather the problem oriented. In this, a counselor creates an atmosphere in which the client can work out his own understanding. It leads to a voluntary choice of action. This counseling approaches rest upon the fundamental respect for the individual, belief in person's ability to solve the problems. It works on to facilitate development of self-insight component, then release of tension. Then the client has to be led to a point of self-realization, self-actualization, and self-help. This method is useful in solving educational, vocational, and marital problems. In this type of approach, the counselor has a respect for the personal autonomy of the client. Mean client has to make the final decision. Last one is a group counseling approach. Group counseling approach is a technique where a group of person is counseled by applying group interaction method for the purpose of arriving at a solution to the problem to the group. All the group members are provided with an opportunity to discuss their problem together in a free atmosphere. In a group counseling, group work helps the group members in understanding and find out a solution to their problem. Some of the components like knowledge of reality, self-knowledge, and self-realization can be achieved through group interaction process. In group counseling, the counselor has a very important role in beginning. The counselor interested in organizing group counseling must have some knowledge about interaction process. Several other qualities like understanding the background of the group, knowledge of various psychological problems, the specific need of each participants are needed for organizing group counseling. Process of group counseling include selection of participant, starting the session, orientation towards discussion, checking the unwanted behavior, then assisting in self-disclosure, then assisting in decision-making process, then closing of the session and follow-up. In this, the participants for the group counseling are chosen on the basis of their common problem. They must have some common problem. The ultimate phase of the group counseling is decision making. The group takes such a decision which is acceptable to all. In group counseling, everyone gives his opinion and show respect for other. After decision making, termination of session which is jointly decided by group members. When all members get satisfied with the outcome of the session, the counselor comes forward to end up the session. Follow up is required in group counseling. The counselor should see that each member of group who participated in the process is progressing. In this, if the counselor feels that some of the group members are not showing much improvement in their behavior, organize another session to find an alternative solution and readjustment strategy for the problem. Next is phases of counseling. In this, phase 1 is establishing relationship. Establishing a relationship is the main phase in the process of counseling. It affects the progress of the process. It should be recognized that each counselor relationship is unique, and hence it is not possible to have a generalized relationship. It includes each factors as respect, trust and sense of psychological comfort. In this phase, counselor has used following skills. First one is begin the phase with adequate social skills. Second is introduce yourself. Third is listen attentively. Fourth one is always remember the name of the client. Fifth one is always address the individual by his or her name. Sixth one is ensure physical comfort. Seventh one is do not interrupt the individual while she is talking. Eighth one is observe non-verbal communication. Ninth one is establishing relationship is not possible in single session. It may require sessions before person become comfortable with you and accepts you into her inner world. Phase second is assessment. In this phase, counselor motivate the individual to talk about their problems. Counselor asks questions, collect information, seeks his views, observes, and possibly helps the individual to clearly state his problems. This is a data collecting phase and involves several specific skills such as first one is observation, second is inquiry, third is making association naming facts, fourth is recording, fifth is making association naming fact. Sorry, this point is repeated. Then fifth one is making educated guesses. Then sixth is recording of information should be done systematically. Then phase third is setting goals. The main purpose of this phase is to provide direction to the individual and counselor. It involves making a commitment to a set of conditions, a course of action, or an outcome. Sometimes the individual may find it difficult to set up goals, or some counselor may resist setting goals, but setting goals help us to know how well counseling is working when counseling may be concluded. Setting goals may be of two types, immediate and ultimate. The process of setting goals is cooperatively done by a counselor and the individual. It requires first one is the skills of drawing inference, second is differentiation, third one is teach individual to think realistically. It should be emphasized that goals are not fixed for all time to come and can be changed whenever new information is received or new insight is developed. Phase 4 is intervention. This stage of counseling affected by the counselor own thoughts about counseling process. The intervention will depend upon the approach used by the counselor, the problem and the individual. The choice of the intervention is a process of adaptation and the counselor should be prepared to change the intervention when the selected intervention is not working. Last phase is fifth, termination and follow up. Thank you.